I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The more you talk, the harder I want to hit you.
I'm happy because of being here today. Fuck you.
Come on, you want me to drive? No. You're supposed to be suicidal, remember? I'll
Anybody
drive.
a drive?
Get in the car.
Fucking shit. Fuck me in the fucking ass. Fuck you, you fucking stupid cunt.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a new top 11, and because this top 11 is going to be for what I do every near end of the year, because we are reaching the end of 2025, and because, well, I would kind of, maybe I would normally do the worst first, but because this was a horrible year for films, we're going to do the worst after this. So, and we're going to do the best first. So, this is going to be for the top 11 best movies of 2025, and there will be some honorable mentions. Now, once again, this list is my opinion, much like the worst list will be. So, yeah. We know what we're going to do. We're going to basically start off with number 11, and going to work down to number 2, then honorable mentions, and then we say the number 1. So anyway, here we go. These were the top 11 movies that I loved of 2025. Here we go. Now kicking off at number 11 is going to be For Caught Stealing, which is Darren Aronofsky's newest film. This movie was one of Aronofsky's best films since Black Swan. It was unusual for him to actually direct a movie like this, but it worked. It very well, and for a Labor Day blockbuster too. This movie even has the feeling camera work of a Guy Ritchie 90s film too, because this movie is even set in 1998. So it was nice to have camera work actually be kind of camera work from a 90s film to actually kind of feel like you're watching a 90s film. It's very all around entertaining. The writing is amazing, and Darren Aronofsky really doesn't miss a lot in this film. The chemistry between Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz is great, despite the fact that Zoe Kravitz gets limited screen time before she gets killed off, sadly, which was a problem I had with the movie. But it did feel real, and the entire cast literally all really kills it well. From either, Bad Bunny was funny, and the movie is also pretty dark as well. You have Liv Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio playing two characters that have a little bit of a twist. They may seem villains, but then they're good. But then you find out they're actually villains by the end. Either way. And the frenetic energy and chaotic storytelling are all still there. And it filters through Aronofsky's bleak lens, giving this raw intensity. A film that kind of wouldn't really work, but the mix of grit, tension, relentless pace really clicks in and leaves a lasting impression on the viewer. A story keeps you engaged from start to finish, the characters feel real and relatable, the tension builds nicely without becoming overbearing, and the pacing is just right. It's not perfect, and it has a few slow spots that you obviously are familiar with in my review for the movie, but it's still very entertaining and worth watching, and it was definitely a nice kind of game changer for Darren Aronofsky to do a new kind of refreshing movie like this, and move on from not doing any more stupid religious bullshit that was kind of plaguing his earlier career. I hope he goes back to doing movies like this, or movies like he did before Black Swan. This is a start. Now kicking off at number 10 is going to be for a more recent one I had earlier reviewed, and that is Zootopia 2. Yes, people, a Disney movie is actually on this list. Because this was a sequel that you could tell had the effort put into it. Still had the original formula. And stayed out of the politics stuff Disney is known for nowadays. While still having some of the politics stuff, because, well, the first film had some politics stuff, but unlike a lot of Disney today, the politics stuff in these movies is not shoved in your face, and it's minor. The comedy reaches a new level of subtlety in this film. The animal-based jokes really build on what worked so well in the first film. You got layers of detail, background gags, visual ideas, scenes that you get in the movie, like the streaming parody overflow with some references in small moments that really demand kind of a pause to catch them all. You even get a Shining reference in one bit. It doesn't stop to spotlight the humor and trust the audience to notice it, and it makes the world feel clever, lively, and full of personality. The story takes place in this, takes a small step towards complexity and still remain accessible for children who love the first film and still do to this day. It does not try to be more than it is. It avoids underestimating the audience. The characters follow believable emotional paths. The development feels natural, and the dialogue stays warm and clear without drifting to simplicity. And the film understands that adults are a part of the experience. It includes humor and emotional beats that work on more than one level. It avoids a common problematry and transforms as something that only children should care about. And the standout part of the movie is easily Gary the Snake, who's brought to life brilliantly by Ki Kwan, as even one of the cutest reptiles put on film. But also, in a way, kind of, if I had a problem, he's also kind of underused, because I wish we got a lot more of his character in the movie. I feel he's the best part of the film. A lot of Judy Nick's revelations about reptiles get fueled more by conversations they have about him and the actions he kind of takes himself, but he's a character you want to see more of as soon as he's on screen. And the animation team really builds on the playground of the first film, and it's definitely overdue for marine mammal section as Zootopia. Not just the Metropolis makes some stunning vistas. We get some more other worlds. You get some returning celebrity actors or some newbies played by some talented legends. We dive into the wheels and gears of the Animal Kingdom, and definitely while we're on the run with Nick and Judy. And it takes so many roller coasters that could really exist in this world. Now, if I had to say, do I want Zootopia 3? Yeah, as long as it's handled right. If it's handled right, it could work. But yeah, no, Disney is not back just because this movie was good. They've said that multiple times with Deadpool, Wolverine, or Guardians 3 where it was Disney and Marvel, but they've made flops after those films. This like those two movies, is just a one-time hit. But I'm glad at least this sequel is good. At the very least. Thank God. Because I was a little bit worried about it too for a second. Now, kicking off at number 9 is going to be F1 the movie, or Formula 1 the movie. Joseph Kosinski really makes a name for himself as kind of our era's Tony Scott. Kind of keeping his legacy alive with movies like Tron Legacy, Top Gun Maverick, and now this movie. This wasn't just something like that. You want to know what this really did feel like? This felt like I was watching the actually good version of Driven, that 2001 bad film from Rennie Harlan that was kind of the bad version of this movie now. This is kind of the actually good, better remake of it. This is like the Driven we should have had in the first place. Imagine if Tony was the director of Driven. It probably would have been made exactly like this. Well, but his legacy carrier, Joseph Kosinski, is doing that very well, and it nailed it very well. I saw this in IMAX opening weekend. This was a blast. This was worth IMAX. F1 is one of those movies that really grabs the viewer from the start, has well done direction, impressive visuals, a soundtrack that really stands out, that's intense, engaging, always the right pace. The emotion is there from beginning to end. It has no breaks. The cinematography makes you feel every turn and bursts of speed. The sharp script that strikes a perfect balance of comedy and drama. A cast with chemistry that runs as smoothly as a set of really great tires. I could see if F1 definitely going to be joining films like Ford v Ferrari or Top Gun or other iconic racing films that really defines a lot of high-speed action. F1 isn't just about speed and spectacle. It's a film that really feels like it's about heart, grit, and the psychology of competition. It really throws you straight in a world where every second counts, where characters live and breathe the intensity of the racetrack. The stunning visuals and immersive sound design pull you into the cockpit and they never let go. Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem really bring great gravitas and complexity to the roles. They portray racers with ideals and personal demons. Kerry Condon delivers a sharp grounded performance. Damson Idris really surprises fresh layer portrayal that keeps his story moving with tension and charm. And one of Joseph Kosinski's trademarks is blurring the lines between the real and the digital, and F1 takes that to new heights. The seamless integration of real F1 footage with visual effects, CGI, clever set extensions, really do question where the film ends and reality begins. It's not just movie magic, like it's movie mastery too. Sorry, I can't speak clearly. There's also some humor too, like it's not over the top, it's not over forced, but the humor in this movie is also very subtle and well paced. Like F1 turned out to be a pleasant surprise. For somebody who is not familiar with F1 racing themselves, this was a pleasant surprise. And I loved seeing this in IMAX. Like IMAX money was worth it for a movie like this. If it's a movie like this, then I'm willing to pay the extra for IMAX. And I'm glad I did. This wouldn't really feel well on any other big screen. Like, IMAX was the perfect way to watch this. The racing, even if you're not familiar with Formula One racing, this film makes it thrilling and it really makes you immediately invested in the world of Formula One racing. It's a balanced story, strong performances, stunning visuals, and enough energy to charge an entire theater. And it definitely did. Like, this was one of Apple Original Films' highest grossing films, and surprisingly, they even released this on DVD. And that's something like they're never really known for doing with their Apple Original Films. Crazy. Now, kicking off at number 8 is going to be The Bad Guys 2. DreamWorks made a long-awaited sequel I actually really wanted to see to a movie that I liked. Was it good? Yeah, but it was a bit cliche at times. Here, we have a sequel that actually ended up being a major step up from the first. It does retcon some happy ending bits of the first film, but it kind of does it for good reason. At least it had good reason to kind of do so. This film, The Bad Guys 2, is a sequel that fires all cylinders with bigger energy, wider cast of characters, a bold high setup, plenty of laugh out loud moments. The animation is still spectacular. Even though I'm getting tired of the Spider-Verse attempted same animation, I still love the animation of this movie. It definitely has the best animation in the series so far. It's got the rich detail, the fluid action that keeps it glued to the screen. The storyline so beautifully well with the introduction of this rival game that ended up being our new, better antagonist than Professor Marmalade. It adds depth, chaos, and fresh humor to the plot. Like the gold blast sequence in the beginning is a very standout set piece animation. It combines stunning visuals with a perfectly matched soundtrack. The Bad Guys 2 brings back the lovable troublemakers and really captivates all the viewers' expectations. They set the bar so high to the point where by the finale the characters end up in space. And I know, unlike Fast Furious 9 that did that so shitty, they actually did them going to space actually perfectly well. Without being a little bit more reasonable with going to space. Not like Fast Furious 9 that just wanted to cash in on that formula because they thought they were so cool and they're not. And it's one for the entire family to enjoy. It's a slick, stylish, hilarious sequel with heart and chaos. And what really steals the show are the new villains. Kitty Cat and her crew, aka the Bad Girls, they're much better developed this time around. They actually feel like better written antagonists. They're scene stealers and are a brilliant addition to the franchise. And the ending, it's definitely spectacular. In fact, this ending already left me wanting the third one. And I hope we get a release date for the third one soon, because this series is so far getting better with the sequel. What makes it stand out is that it's not recycled garbage, same story as the first, but it takes risks. It pushed characters forward. It surprises you in ways you don't expect. With the dazzling animation, the soundtrack pumps energy into every frame, and the character dynamics have never been better than they already were in the first one. So yeah, please bring on The Bad Guys 3 already. I really want this third one to happen already. The director is already saying it's in development, but come on, hurry up with the release date. We gotta get this series the send-off it deserves. So kicking off at number 7 is going to be for Novocaine. This was one of many films that never went noticed, sadly. When it came out, it was in theaters, didn't do well at the box office, and sadly disappeared. But I had a very good time watching it. The the movie has the gore that really makes you feel what's happening with the characters, and like the goreness is actually very cringy as well. Like this goreness is brutal. This is like one of the most brutal action films of this decade. Like the Nobukainer, the main character, is so relatable as a character that you get attached with him very easily, and Jack Quaid is really good at making the character feel relatable. Like the movie starts out with regular movie start, but when it takes a turn, it makes the movie so much more powerful, and it really keeps you on the hook. Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid's son, is a joy to watch in the movie. He plays this role just the right amount of navigate and wonder at what is going on as he tries to find the girl he hopes will be his girlfriend and save her from the big bad guys. Oh, another thing, he has this condition where he can't feel pain at all. And after a bank robbery goes wrong, the camping the girl he loves, he goes through roller coaster situations in an attempt to save her. The direction is confident, the pacing is tight, the atmosphere laced with unease. There's a few supporting characters that could use more screen time, or maybe one character, the friend character, I think he could have did without the friend character. Because, aka the Jacob Batalon's character in the movie, I feel you could have did without him because he didn't contribute really anything to the plot. The overall experience is very gripping and memorable. It's definitely a dark, compelling story that lingers long after the credits roll. Even though, yeah, it sadly didn't do well in theaters, but it did well with audiences. And the story New Idea really carries the performances of the cast, especially like Jack Quaid and Mid Thunder. The comedic scenes, the entertainment value, the violence, that actually is very cringy to sit through. The action scenes, the cinematography, the soundtrack direction, the screenplay, they're all perfect. And they definitely have not much else to be said against them. In a way, like, hopefully, eventually, soon, Nova King can eventually get the cult following it deserves. Because I feel this should have been noticed by a lot more people more. I feel this should have made more money. But it is what it is. It is that. Now, kicking off at number 6 is going to be The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes story. Yep, it took several years. We did have the first Space Jam, which was a good film. But at the same time, it didn't really feel too Looney Tunes-like. Like, the Looney Tunes didn't really make much of an appearance in that film kind of until they meet Michael Jordan's character, his fictional self. Back in Action for a while was my favorite Looney Tunes film. As a child, anyways. Up until this. The Looney Tunes, finally got a movie they have needed for a while. And it was done by Ketchup Entertainment, who saved them from the gutters after Space Crap, a failed legacy, nearly tarnished their reputation. This Ketchup Entertainment immediately went in, pulled them out, saved them, made this movie, and put them back on the map for the best animated film this year. And I hope they stay more like this. When they make more films with the Looney Tunes characters, I hope they start doing them a lot like this. Yeah, it feels like a long Looney Tunes episode, but at the same time, it has the stakes that actually really do make it an actual movie. And no, this movie did not deserve to flop at the box office either. Like, it's such a return to form for Looney Tunes and Warner Bros.-ish with their version of the characters. Like, it's zany, it's silly, it's grotesque, it's madness. Daffy and Porky's adopted father, Farmer Jim, was one of the funniest cartoon characters I've seen with his design. Being kind of the same, like, kind of taken from a portrait. They don't cram any, they don't really cram any cringy modern stuff for 3/4 all the way in. And it really is, which seems to be a problem for a lot of comedies nowadays or cartoons nowadays. Like, it's very refreshing, a darn good time. Like, in an age that's dominated by CGI computer animation nowadays, A Day the Earth Blew Up really stands out as delighted in a much-needed throwback. Unlike Fix, which was just a bad 2D animated film, this was a good 2D animated film. This animated comedy is this fantastic adventure that really does not feel like just a Looney Tunes cartoon. It feels like a love letter to both classic sci-fi B-movies from the 50s and the golden age of animation. It's a fully hand-drawn spectacle that's as charming as it is chaotic, and it's great to see the return of hand-drawn animation in this movie in such a prominent way. The plot is a simple and effective setup. It really blends classic Looney Tunes gags with mind-bending sci-fi premise. It never takes itself too seriously because it's Looney Tunes. It shouldn't take itself seriously. It used this outlandish story as this perfect backdrop for the kind of rapid-fire humor and physical comedy that made these characters famous in their golden age. The animation is vibrant, energetic, and a joy to behold. And another thing, some who don't have kind of a problem with Daffy Duck nowadays, well, guess what? This movie actually brings him back to his likable self. You know, he's kind of like, he's not the like arrogant, funny, love to hate asshole you're familiar with in a lot of the cartoons from Looney Tunes these days. He's actually restored to the actually likable, caring self he used to be in this film. And the chemistry he has with Porky is terrific, like, where they're actually adopted brothers in this story. Right there, and they kind of have to try to save their house, and sometimes Daffy's causing a lot of the problems in the film. Like, some of them are funny, like whenever he gets him and Porky fired from several jobs, or tries to be an influencer and it fails because nobody likes his influencer style. And some emotional bits between the two, like when their adopted father disappears from the world, or kind of goes up in the sky, or when they kind of reconcile after an argument. Like, yeah, how they write them here is so terrific. And long story short, I cannot wait for Kyle vs. Acme to finally be happening now, because that movie deserves to be released. That movie has been shelved way too long, and I'm glad Ketchup Entertainment saved Coyote vs. Acme and are finally going to release it soon. I can't wait. I think it's coming next year. I think it is, but either way, I can't wait. I'm glad it's finally getting released, because it deserves to be. Alright, now kicking off at number 5 is going to be for Nobody 2. Nobody 2 is a sequel that, well, it didn't really get the same positive reviews as Nobody 1, but personally, I might be one of the rare people that kind of like this just as much, if not slightly more than the first. Nobody 2 delivers exactly what, to me, a fan of the first one was hoping for. Raw, grounded, unapologetic action from start to finish. Bob Odenkirk once again nails the balance between everyman charm and deadly precision, and the fight choreography feels even sharper this time around. What really makes Nobody 2 stand out is the focus. It doesn't try to reinvent the formula, it doesn't try to rehash the story of the first film, or push any unnecessary messages, or try to overforce a sequel setup. It gives you this gritty, well-paced story about redemption, family, and the consequences of violence. The humor hits, the pacing moves fast, the tone stays consistent throughout. Like, Nobody 2 rips. It's a lean, mean sequel that hits harder, moves faster, actually gets even goofier and sillier, and knows when to grin through bloody teeth. Like, you know, here's the thing. If Nobody 1 was the first Evil Dead, then this movie is kind of Evil Dead 2, and also kind of Army of Darkness all mushed into one. And that's what, to me, makes it great. You know, I like this film didn't take itself seriously. I like this film went a little more self-aware. Like, it felt like I was watching an action sequel from the 80s, you know, sequels like RoboCop 2, or sequels like Die Hard 2, sequels like Lethal Weapon 2, sequels like Predator 2. A lot of sequels that, you know, didn't really reach the same praise the first film got, their predecessors got. But they did get a cult following from fans of the franchises. And they're a little more well-liked today. It kind of felt like watching one of those sequels. Like, this felt like watching an action film from the 80s. I like how they kind of went kind of that route with this movie. Like, the first one has that tone, but you can tell it's a little more modern. It's still kind of the John Wick tone at the first film. This one kind of goes full-blown 80s tone. Like, from the opening minutes, the film snaps into this tempo. You can really feel it never really loosens the grip. The first exchange isn't a prologue so much as a metronome. It's a brisk long to take with a frame center reorientation. It's exactly what everyone is, what the next beat might cost. The sense of locked momentum persists from scene to scene because the movie trims connective tissue to the essentials, no plot throat clearing, and it purposely cuts and slows down the corridor. When the script pauses for humor aside, the edit holds to forward pressure. It lets this sardonic line overflap the tail of a shot rather than a straight dead air reaction. Like, you can tell how entertained the movie is. Like, the film really takes time like a weapon every punch, and every silence or every transition. And you have Sharon Stone actually, it's been years since Sharon Stone acted, and She returns to cinema in this movie playing the big bad of the film. And and some people feel she was a pointless character in the film. I disagree. I thought she was a blast start to finish in the role, and you can see she's enjoying this character. Like, you get great lines, like whenever she pretty much injures like a cheater in her casino. Nobody cheats in my fucking casino. Or like, she's definitely one of the funnest villains in an action film in a very long time. And like, you can tell she's enjoying playing this character, and this movie 100% delivered what it intended to. Of course it was ridiculous, and of course it's unrealistic. It's supposed to be ridiculous and unrealistic. Like, come on. The first film was a little unrealistic and ridiculous too. Come on. Like, those who criticize it for those reasons, like, sure, the first one was more serious, but it had some unrealistic and ridiculous moments as well. Honestly, I felt this gave me everything I wanted to see in a Nobody sequel. I know some people may disagree with me on this being better than the first one, but it's just my opinion. I think they're both equally great, but I think I prefer this one slightly more. You know? And I can't wait to see what director Timo does with The Beekeeper 2 at this point. Alright, now kicking off at number 4 is going to be for another few rare box office success I like this year, Sinners. Yes, I am a more split on Ryan Coogler as a director, but this ended up being his best movie yet. I thought the acting was amazing from across the board. Miles Cannon does terrific as a newcomer. You go in the movie, yeah. Like, when I first saw who was going to direct the film, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be like Black Panther and Creed 1, really. But still have some minor scares. And yeah, it is a little bit slow at first, but it picks up. Don't worry, the film does pick up as it progresses. And it's still entertaining. And again, when you get introduced to the new interesting characters, the film becomes a treat. It's nice to see a new take on vampires that you never saw before, where they get activated from blues music. It's not a typical cliche vampire movie. It's got culture, style, originality. The beginning really takes its time so you can start caring about some characters. It makes the intense moments later hit much harder. And like, Sinners is a great film, and it leaves you wondering what's going to happen next. My mind, I went to go see this in the theaters, like the film was nearly sold out. And my mind was blown. And I could understand why this film was being hyped up so much, because this is a hype. This is one of the few times where hype for a movie is deserved. You know, you can see why a lot of people really love this. It's got some subtle messages within the movie that are actually done right and not overforced. Gorgeously shot in rich colors that are so saturated, you feel like you're really in the world of Sinners. Performances are all standout, but the honors really go to Ryan, like Michael B. Jordan's performance, Haley Stenfield's performance, like everyone in the cast as well. And Ryan Coogler actually did well achieving the telling of a vampire tale, one that really shocks and awes in ways you don't expect. Dangerous, sexy, heartbreaking, transcendent. The script really crackles with some memorable dialogue, and the music is very hypnotizing and amazing and groundbreaking, and always a story behind this mere vampire tale. It's not a musical, yet there's a lot of music for a vampire movie. Like, you get some pretty iconic moments, like the whole blues montage at the little party, or even you get this Sam Raimi styled sequence where all the vampires do a song number together, which is just kind of the film having fun with itself by this point. So I like you had a moment like that in the film. Like, that was definitely, it was random, but it was just so amazingly awesome to watch. It's a spectacular score that really carries the film forward. And man, it's like really hard to get a film like this nowadays, but I hope we can start getting more original ideas like this, because this was something new. Man, I'm glad I listened to people when they told me to go see this, because it was worth it. I bought it on DVD. I can watch the film quite a bit. You know, this is a Ryan Coogler film I'm happily willing to watch anytime. Alright, this is a little too long now. Let's move on to number 3. Alright, so kicking off at number 3 is going to be for a film I don't think a lot of people have really heard about and never really saw, Sovereign. Okay. This is a film not really anybody heard of, because, let's face it, it wasn't wide released to the public. But knowing what the film's about, maybe that was for the best. Because, let's face it, this is a movie about 2 real-life Sovereign residents who killed 2 cops, or I think in the real case, though, I think one was just injured, one was definitely killed, or one was hospitalized. In this movie, both of them get killed. And then the two sovereign residents that did the crime got shut up at a store parking lot hours later. In the real case, I think it was at a Walmart. This movie, it's at some unknown store that doesn't really exist. Yeah. So there is that. And well, here's the thing. No, I do not support the sovereign movement at all. No. Never have. And I never really heard of the case until this movie. That's when I found out more about the case, when I heard this film got announced. Now, I do love the three main actors. I do like Nick Offerman in quite a few stuff. Like, I liked Nick Offerman in the show Parks and Recreation, the Jump Street films. In this film called The Kings of Summer, yeah, I think Nick Offerman's a pretty talented actor and a good comedian. I do like Jacob Tremblay in some films, like Room, Wander, his brief murder scene in Doctor Sleep, his voice acting Orion the Dark and Luca. And I don't mind Dennis Quaid in some stuff. Like, I did like Dennis Quaid in The Day After Tomorrow. I liked him in Inner Space. So, I was interested. And, honestly, this ended up being my third favorite film of this year. And I'll explain why. Newcomer writer and director Christian Swiegel really explores the toxic nature of the generation gap between fathers and sons. This tragic melodrama recounts the 2010 murders of the two West Memphis police during a traffic stop. It grips and it's very well acted by Nick and Jacob, who play the father and son sovereign residents portrayed in the film well. And it shows a relationship between a teenager and his extreme sovereign dad, who's given up on being a normal member of society. And there is kind of a decent connection with the characters, and there's some tragedy in the fictional portrayal of the son, who just kind of wants to grow up and live the more normal life among his peers. But unfortunately, his disturbed, mentally unstable dad, who's played by Nick Offerman, won't allow that because he thinks teachers lie and wants his son to follow in his footsteps and doesn't want to be a regular citizen. But it was also was nice to get a subplot of Dennis Quaid's character and his son that kind of leads into how the whole murder case goes down the climax, to develop one of the cop characters. So I also like that. Instead of just trying to shoehorn the cop character in just to be our soon-to-be victim, I like you get a bit of a break from the two sovereign people eventually in the middle of the film, and you get a subplot with Dennis Quaid and his son, like who's kind of on the same path where Dennis Quaid's character is training his son to be in the cop force like he is, because his character in the movie's the sheriff. And then once this whole murder case all starts in the climax of the movie, it's heartbreaking, it's intense when Dennis's son is about to arrest Nick Offerman's character, and then Jacob's character then pretty much shoots him and his partner out of nowhere, which is definitely a very jaw-dropping moment on first watch. And then you have to go erase their evidence. Jacob gives a heartbreaking performance when he runs out screaming in tears during that bit. Then moments later, when the shootout happens and him and Jerry get gunned down in such a pretty scary, well-directed, well-shot shootout, especially when the truck just runs out of nowhere and rams their car to prevent them from escaping. Like, the cinematography is striking, the pacing keeps you leaning in. And I just thought it was well-directed and faithful to the case. That's why I love the movie so much. I like that they didn't over-Hollywoodize, and I like they still portrayed the Sovereign duo as still bad people. At the very least, didn't try to over-make them sympathetic. Right there, like, I'm glad this was made independently, because if a major Hollywood studio made this film, they probably would have did the stuff I'm glad they didn't do. And the Strawman imagery is very eerie, symbolic, and really sticks with you after watching the film. It's just a gripping, emotionally intelligent film that really kind of earns the trust and rewards it. Alright, now kicking off at number 2 is going to be for a film that I thought was going to end up staying the number 1 best before another sequel did come out that I really liked. But that's going to be for Warfare. Oh boy, was this very hard to get through. Fuck. This film is a very realistic portrayal of war. much like Saving Private Ryan was, and the horrors our service members really face. The attention to detail, the commitment to facts behind the story really hold attention well. It's like seeing history without the lecture, like it's not a typical war movie. It's a story from the side of the American soldier. The silence really leaves you anxious. The depiction of what it's like to be in war really leaves you unsettled in this movie. The reality of what it means to be a soldier really hits like a freight train. The additional work really ensures it's an accurate of a depiction as possible, and the purpose of the movie's making, like the story the director Ray Mendoza gives us is about as raw and real as it gets. It really shows the chaos of war. The film had no punch. It didn't sugarcoat. It didn't try to overlay heart or over-explain. This movie does well in giving viewers heart-pounding anxiety, and I mean in a good way, because that's what this movie was really supposed to do, and it works so well with that. Right there, and the movie really hits all the marks, and the communications are used well. Sometimes it does lack them, but in the end, you can see why it does, though. Each individual really deals with shock differently. How bad things get when the team leader can't get his bearing, or the medic gets wounded and unable to provide care. Like, this film is just hard to get through, but it's just so well directed and great to me that it really deserves a 10 out of 10 for me. No, I did not buy this film on Blu-ray because, well, let's face it, it's not one I really feel comfortable rewatching a lot, but because of how really extreme it is, but it's a damn good film. Very damn good film, easily. And definitely won A24, and I think this might be A24's best film. Alright, now, before I get to the number one pick, let's go through some honorable mentions, shall we?
She sees a Mr. Businessman type coming toward her, and something about him, God knows what, makes Taylor want to announce his approach.
Over here, Lieutenant.
I'd sworn off love after my wife died, but this woman was put together in all the right ways.
Are you ready to enter our house of horrors?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. This shit always looks fake.
Chill out, Rich.
We finally meet. Would you like a coffee?
Where's the dog?
Dog?
The dog, loser! You took the dog!
That's right, you get all of this.
It doesn't matter. He's a driver. And I told him, you're wasting your life, Felix. You only get one life. You're pissing it away.
Very nice of you.
Thank you.
Oh, it's too heavy for me. You gotta bring it on in there. Come on, I'll show you where the toys go.
Where do you want me to put them?
You can bring them right in here.
And with that, the number one best movie of 2025 that surprisingly ended up dethroning Warfare from the number one spot after nearly a whole entire year. That is going to be for Sisu: The Road to Revenge, the sequel to 2023 Sisu that for a majority of 2023 was at the number one best of 2023 spot, but then you all know Godzilla Minus One came out, and that movie took the number one spot of that year. So Sisu ended up at number two. So, Sisu: Road to Revenge is easily a 10 out of 10 sequel to a 10 out of 10 movie from 2 years ago. The first one is equally great, but this movie, honestly, is even better. Another thing about these films, Sisu 1 and 2 can actually be watched as a double feature movie because this movie is not really just a sequel, it's kind of the other half of the story. Whereas at the end of Sisu 1, he got the gold and he used it to return home. Then by Sisu 2, he's back home, but sees his family's killed. So he's going to rebuild the house somewhere else, relive the rest of his life in solitary, and while mourning and grieving them in peace. And things go out of proportion, like the vulnerability level's very high. You can't believe the fact that he isn't dead from everything he goes through in these two films. Another scene comes and he manages to live, and so on. It's called the perfect action thriller movie. And this is called a better sequel movie. Everything was perfect. There was outstanding action sequences, especially the train scene. Some people find mine maybe a little logicless in moments, but those scenes are enjoyed very much. The beautiful thing is that there's not really any dialogue from the main character in this film, and that's kind of the amazing part. I kind of like this character has no dialogue. You still get dialogue from like Stephen Lane's character and Richard Briggs' character, but still, there's no other dialogue from our main lead himself. This is not merely just a movie, it's basically the epilogue film of the first. It's a transcendent thunderclap of cinematic audacity. And from the first fame, it detonates screen and meteor strike and announces a masterpiece in action. It's a movie that a lot of other action films could probably envy. And the landscapes are really gorgeously shot. They look like nature really hired the glam squad here. The score doesn't merely accompany the action, it leaps off the speakers and it really makes you feel something. And by the time the credits rolled, I wasn't just entertained. I was really blown away and convinced that anyone would try to run this man again, they'd all be pretty much screwed. But in the ending, when all the new finished residents come by to help him build the house, that was a perfect way to end the story. No, I thought they were going to have more sequel setups, but shockingly, they actually picked the right way to end it. In fact, even the director confirmed that he intended this to be the conclusion, but he is open to making a third one, which, you know something, and honestly, I hope the director sticks true to not making a third one and just lets this stay the conclusion. In fact, I'm kind of glad this movie's underperforming. For good reason, because here's the thing. This ending was perfect, so I don't care if this underperforms. If it underperforms, then it can just stay 2 movies, and this can stay the end. You know, because I don't want a Clerks 3, or Matrix 4, or Speed 2, or Joker 2, I don't, or The Predator, or Alien 3, or RoboCop 3, I don't want either of those to happen to Sisu. This is a perfect way to end it, and it's a good thing it's bombing so it can stay the send-off, because this is a perfect way to stop it. I don't want this ending ruined. This and Sisu 1 will be the only canon ones to me. Yeah, Sisu 2 Road to Revenge to me is the best movie of 2025 in my opinion, and I'm glad we had this to close the end of the year with, because this was a perfect way to close out this really bad year for movies. Well, okay, it's not over yet, but I'm glad we at least had this near the end of the year. Maybe I should have said that. Yeah, Sisu Road to Revenge, my favorite movie of 2025. Alright, there we go, guys. That officially wraps up my top 11 best movies of 2025 list. Now you all know we have the worst of 2025 list to go over next. Yeah, that's going to be so fun. Oh man, gonna be revisiting a lot of those piles of shit again to end this year. Ugh. But now I want in the comments down below what you guys think about this list and what your top 11 or top 10 or whatever you prefer would be. And until then, guys, that will be it for this list. Thank you all for watching. If you'd like to want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to Don G. Corleone.